It is October 1st, 2025, and Congressman Tim Burchett says there are aliens that might be living under the ocean. And in other news, is Peter Thiel the Antichrist? This is Inverted World Live. What is up, everybody? Thank you for joining us on this lovely Wednesday night. This is Inverted World Live, and I'm your host, Shane Cashman. We are very glad you are here. In about 30 or so minutes, we will be getting to phone calls. The link to call in will be pinned in the chat on both Rumble and YouTube. So if you have a fun story, something unexplained, something mysterious, something dark, something strange that you want to share with us, give us a call. It's audio only on your side, so you will be a disembodied voice on our side sharing your story. Or you can call in and talk about something related to one of the topics that we were discussing at the beginning of the show. So we'd love to hear from you guys, as always. And I am joined by the one and only Alex.
What's up, Shane? What's up, everybody? I am Alex Ayala. I am filling in for Brandon Miner this week. Just to let you know, Rumble is having a slight issue today, so I had to just start a new stream. So if you are listening on Rumble right now, or if you're on YouTube trying to listen on Rumble right now, go to our page and find the other stream. So I hope that's not too confusing. It was a last-minute fix, so that's why we were a little late tonight. Sorry about that.
Sorry about that, everybody. But it is October 1st. Spooky season has officially begun. When I got out of the car to walk into the studio, the second I opened the door, I was surrounded by the sound of coyotes. It's one of my favorite sounds. Growing up on a farm in the middle of the woods in New York, it was always this time of year when the coyotes started to make themselves known. And I love that sound. And growing up on the farm, we were above the Hudson River, deep into the woods, but close enough to the train tracks and to, was it 9W? This road where the sirens were always blasting. The cops always chasing someone down. The coyotes, though, in October would mimic the police sirens. You could always count on it. If you heard the sirens, if you heard the police running, speeding down the road, the coyotes would soon after mimic that. It was amazing. So before we get into everything, I want to shout out Quinn Schmidt for hitting me up earlier. He was asking if I could talk about a Bible verse, and I felt compelled to do that, especially because we're going to talk about an Antichrist. So I thought that was important. I am going to read something for you guys. I'm going to read something from James 5. This has been on my mind a lot lately because just recently we were on the show talking about my crazy time with Ye, formerly known as Kanye West, and we went to Bible study, and this is what we read. And just for some context to that and what it meant to me personally was those 2 years leading up to that moment, I've been telling all of my friends, my wife, like I'm trying to get into this. I want to be religious, but I felt like a fraud, and I was trying to pray, and praying wasn't going so well, at least so I thought in my mind. And so I fly out to LA, and this whole thing happens. And then lo and behold, I'm invited to church with Ye. And this is 2 days after he said, "I love Hitler" on Alex Jones' show. So it was a crazy time. It was a fun time. And we sat down for Bible study one Sunday morning in LA. And so I've been thinking about that. So thank you for reaching out and asking for that. And I'm going to read this. And I want you to keep that in mind. I'm saying this stuff because if you remember what was going on with Ye at that time, he was listed as, one of the richest black men in the world, billionaire, then had his bank accounts frozen, threatening to take him away, take his kids away. And it was an insane time. But, I support him, and I was happy to be there with him and that whole crew at that time. It's a wild time. So keep that in mind, though, about wealth and the material world as I read to you from James 5. Now listen, you rich people, weep and wail because of the misery that is coming on you. Your wealth has rotted. The moths have eaten your clothes. Your gold and silver are corroded. Their corrosion will testify against you and eat your flesh like fire. You have hoarded wealth in the last days. Look, The wages you failed to pay the workers who mowed your fields are crying out against you. The cries of the harvesters have reached the ears of the Lord Almighty. You have lived on earth in luxury and self-indulgence. You have fattened yourselves in the day of the slaughter. You have condemned and murdered the innocent one who was not opposing you. Be patient then, brothers and sisters, until the Lord's coming. See how the farmer waits for the land to yield its valuable crop, patiently waiting for the autumn and spring rains. You too, be patient and stand firm, because the Lord's coming is near. Don't grumble against one another, brothers and sisters, or you will be judged. The judge is standing at the door. Brothers and sisters, as an example of patience in the face of suffering, take the prophets who spoke in the name of the Lord. As you know, we count as blessed those who have persevered. You have heard of Job's perseverance and have seen what the Lord finally brought about. The Lord is full of compassion and mercy. Above all, my brothers and sisters, do not swear, not by heaven or by earth or by anything else. All you need to say is a simple yes or no. Otherwise, you will be condemned. Is anyone among you in trouble? Let them pray. Is anyone happy? Let them sing songs of praise. Is anyone among you sick? Let them call the elders of the church to pray over them and anoint them with oil in the name of the Lord. And the prayer offered in faith will make the sick person well. The Lord will raise them up. If they have sinned, they will be forgiven. Therefore, confess your sins to each other and pray for each other so that you may be healed. The prayer of a righteous person is powerful and effective. Elijah was a human being, even as we are. He prayed earnestly that it would not rain, and it did not rain on the land for 3.5 years. Again he prayed, and the heavens gave rain, and the earth produced its crops. My brothers and sisters, if one of you should wander from the truth and someone should bring that person back, remember this. Whoever turns a sinner from the error of their way will save them from death and cover over a multitude of sins. That is James 5. It's on my mind quite a bit. That was almost 3 years ago. I sat next to Ye, listening to a pastor and his brother in Bible study as we discussed that and just talk about what it meant to not be shackled to the material world and remember what's important in life. But appreciate you, make sure I get your name right, Quinn, for hitting me up and asking for that. Give us a little confidence and strength before we move into this crazy episode.
We had a caller call in last night talking about the Bible,
yeah,
and how important it is, and reading it and everything. Is that kind of also what made you?
I've been getting a lot of messages about it, and it's amazing. I didn't expect to have so many people as engaged as they are in religion. Mm-hmm. I think that's just built into me because of New York.
Okay.
You know, like having been in New York, I don't know how it was for you when you were in New York, but like even when I was
being surrounded by religion,
surrounded by non-religion, surrounded by freaks of nature. But like, you know, I remember telling one of my closest friends, one of these people who I did lose during lockdowns and all that stuff. I remember telling him before lockdowns that I was even considering this, and it got weird. I'm like, really? I'm like, okay. But I was just being honest, and it meant, you know, I wasn't even close to where I am now. Hardly. Yeah. But I knew then. It was probably the December before we started seeing the reports in China about people, about the Wuhan lab, or I'm sorry, not the Wuhan lab. It was bat soup at that point.
Oh, right. Bat soup.
Bat soup did it. Bat soup shut the world down. Everybody knows it was bat soup. Don't eat the bats. So what do we got here? Tim Burchett. Do you have that article pulled up?
Yeah.
And I forget which one I sent. Did I send you the one with the video at the top? No. It's okay, because I'm just going to read it anyway. And it's pretty much the same.
Oh, this is the deep water. This is the one you're looking for?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I had two of the same ones pulled up. So, Tim Burchett, the gentleman from Tennessee. All right. Aliens may be hiding in deep water areas, Tennessee congressman claims. I got a lot of questions. I like it. I like questions. So here we go. Aliens may be hiding underwater in several areas on Earth, according to a Republican congressman from Tennessee. What if these entities that are here on this Earth, that have been on this Earth for who knows how long, we think they're coming in from way out. Maybe they did a millennial ago, but they're here. They're in these deep water areas. And that's why We're having a higher propensity of sightings around these 5 or 6 deep water areas, Rep. Tim Burchett said during a September 17th sidewalk interview with UFO enthusiast Red Panda Koala that has since gone viral. Burchett said it was hard for him to explain the advanced technology the U.S. Navy has encountered under the sea. It creates a question there, said Burchett, whose district covers Knoxville and East Tennessee. Shout out to Knoxville. And then when we have naval personnel telling me they have these sightings and there's these underwater craft they're chasing, that they're doing hundreds of miles an hour, and then the best we've got is something that does maybe just a little under 40 miles an hour. So I got a lot of questions about that stuff, the congressman said. There has been no evidence, the article says, to back up Burchett's theory. In April, the congressman accused the United States government of covering up its discoveries of unidentified aerial phenomena, or UAPs, or as we call them on this show, UFOs, because I don't like this rebrand. I think it's ridiculous. There are tens of millions of dollars that we've spent investigating these things. We've had departments tell us that they have recovery units, but they won't release full reports. Everything's covered up, Burchett said, according to The Hill. The House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform held a hearing earlier this month titled Restoring Public Trust Through UAP Transparency and Whistleblower Protection. The committee found that the government has not been transparent about its programs relating to UAPs. Are you surprised? I got to remind y'all, we just, and then you got to think about if you even trust this story, but I bring it up anyway. When we read that story a few months ago about the Pentagon getting caught in lies, creating, allegedly, stories about extraterrestrials to cover their tracks, to cover Lockheed Martin and their technology. Seems to be a theme. I'm so surprised that the government might lie or not be transparent. It's so weird. I've always been told to trust them. Why would they lie? You want to pull up the Lauren Boebert video? We can move to this real quick. Let's hear from Miss Boebert.
Come up to the Hill of a secretive project within the Department of Defense involving the manipulation of human genetics with what is described as non-human genetic material, potentially for the enhancement of human capabilities, hybrids. Are any of you familiar with that? Yes or no?
No, ma'am.
I am not, ma'am.
I'm not.
No, ma'am.
Okay, I would like to know, with Immaculate Constellation, how does this relate to UAP activities, Mr. Schellenberg, in oceanic environments? Are there any instances where the Navy or other maritime forces have encountered UAPs that could not be explained by known technology or natural phenomena?
Yeah, the Immaculate Constellation covers both terrestrial and oceanic, and there's actually a number of cases described in the report that occur in the ocean.
And do you believe that there is a concerted effort by the Pentagon to keep Congress out of the loop regarding these UAP activities, specifically in our waters?
Yes.
I think it's about 5% of our ocean that's actually been studied in detail by man, and we've studied more of space than we had of our own oceans. And so are there any accounts of UAPs emerging from or submerging into our water which could indicate a base or presence beneath the ocean's surface?
I don't know about a base, but as I mentioned, I had a different source entirely describe this pretty extraordinary footage that exists of orbs, of an orb coming out of the ocean and being met by another orb.
Some would say that there's multiple hot spots where we see frequent activity. So in your investigations, have you come across any data or visual evidence like sonar readings or underwater footage of these UAPs?
I have not beyond what's in the report.
You've written about UAPs not only in the air but in underwater. Are there any specifics on what you've learned about the UAP activity in our oceans? Particularly, have you spoken with sources who have provided any evidence or eyewitness accounts of these UAPs interacting with our naval forces or being detected by our underwater surveillance systems?
Nothing beyond what's in the report and then the specific case that I mentioned with the orb.
So we're talking about underwater bases with extraterrestrials or entities or, in my opinion, ancient breakaway civilizations that are existing underwater for who knows how long. That's an old clip, and it reminds me of, I think it was maybe the second Inverted World article, maybe third one I ever wrote, and it was covering one of these early, it was probably 2021, I think, and it was so fascinating to me because it was the first time I had watched one in full like this, with this new crop of, UFO enthusiasts in the government, and the subject of underwater UFOs came up, and that was the first time in that meeting when they were like, yeah, we can't discuss this publicly. It was one of those, we can only answer behind closed doors. Yeah. I'm like, oh, what's going on there? It could just be Raytheon and Lockheed Martin doing weird things under the ocean.
Right.
But I think ocean's real space.
You have been saying that.
I have been saying that.
Yeah.
I mean, have you seen an anglerfish? That's
Yeah.
an alien. An octopus is an
Yeah.
alien.
Yeah.
Those things are aliens.
But
And they
I mean,
want to
they're
get
harmless,
us.
aren't they?
Oh, I don't know if they're harmless. I think they're biding their time
To what?
to get us in your sleep.
An
Imagine
octopus?
waking up with an octopus or an anglerfish staring at
Actually,
you.
we looked into getting an octopus, and it's like impossible.
Is it impossible?
I think it's kind of tricky. It's hard to get an octopus, and like you can't just like get one and be like, okay, and treat it like a fish. Like it's
No.
like it needs a lot of TLC.
I think they're serial killers. They're alien. They're aliens that happen to be serial killers. I wouldn't trust
don't
one in my
think so.
house with my kids. They also
Yeah, it'd be
can predict Super Bowls and lottery numbers.
Oh, well, in that
they're,
case,
they're like
how many
they're
can I
also like
get?
Houdinis though. They're also like Houdinis. They escape everything. But I just think there is a lot of weird stuff down there, and there's something going on under the water. I have my reservations about outer space, but inner space, there's something weird going on down there.
I know. In the sky, in the water.
I just think
It is what it is.
There are these videos, the Tic Tac and the orbs. Oh, actually, I don't know if that orb video's out that Schellenberg is referencing, but there are videos of things that appear to go in and out of the water. It's bizarre.
Like the Loch Ness monster.
Like the Loch Ness monster, exactly. That's an alien. MF Damien, thank you for the chat. Burchett is a rare congressional gem. I find him to be quite funny. Quite a funny guy. I don't really like celebrating any politician, but I like when they're funny, and I like when they seem authentic. So that's why I did send you those 2 short videos of Tim Burchett for just to pull up, because I think they're funny. Let's do the short one first. Yeah, this one. I just love
Congressman, the
this.
Vice President pronounces her first name Kamala. You mispronounce it. Do you do that on purpose?
No, ma'am. I don't know how she pronounces it. This is the first time anybody's ever told me that. How did I say it?
You said Kamala, and it's Kamala.
Kamala. Okay. Well, my last name's Burchett, and I dare say nobody's ever. Sean Hannity's didn't even get my name right when I was on there, and I don't pitch a fit. So it's Kamala. Mm-hmm. Okay. Then I stand corrected. Thank you. And somebody's going to say you're showing bias to her by correcting her and not correcting anybody for me. But I see that as just you being very kind to me. So I'll take it as that.
It's so funny.
He's not wrong.
It's great.
No one can ever pronounce my last name.
It's tough. It's tough. Burchett is tough. Let's do this one. This is a good
You
one.
got the max.
It started too soon.
You got the Maxwell subpoena out. Is that enough for you?
No, it's never going to be enough. This town has a history of lying and covering it up. Again,
True.
Kennedy assassination, Oswald's supposed to have shot Kennedy from the front and the back. They found basically a bullet with a lead jacket that's unscathed on a gurney in a hospital, and nobody asked questions about this over 60 years ago. This town has a history of lying, and I just want to get to the bottom of it. That's all I want, and that's why I want to call her in. I think it's a good start.
And what about the speaker sending everybody home rather than having a vote?
Well, I guess we're getting tired of these 2-hour work weeks up here. That's all we've ever done. The Democrats in power, we're in power. I'm sick of it. I came here to work. An old Democrat speaker in the House, Jimmy Nafe, he told me one time, he said, Tim, you don't want to work, you shouldn't have hired on. And we got to work, man. We got all those Doge cuts and everything else. I'm sick of it. And I know it's part of the system. We go home every August. We did it under Pelosi, and it's just followed and just back and forth. So I'm ready
Man wants to work.
Let's start. Let's
I
stay here and
respect
do
it.
some work.
You sound pretty frustrated with the speaker here.
I'm frustrated with everybody, brother. It ain't just the speaker. It's just the system.
Story of my life, man.
And we got to work.
Yes.
We're going to lose our dadgum country. We're $36 trillion in debt. We got all this stuff going on, and we're headed home. Yeah, I'd love to go home. I'm grateful to see my wife and daughter, but dadgummit, Let's get to work. America's ticked off, and they should be.
Do you think the speaker's trying to bury the Epstein files?
No, I just the president, I think, got off on a good start here this week over the grand jury stuff. I think that's a great start, and honestly, I want to protect the innocent. I want to protect the 1,000 little girls that got raped and abused, and I want to protect the people that flew on these planes unsuspecting, and maybe they didn't go to the island or whatever. And I think you got to have some way to filter that out. But other than that, send them all to hell. I'm over it. Those people are the biggest lowlifes in the world. Look, I've held the hand of people. I've said this many times. It's not just bluster. I've held the hand of people that have been abused and molested, and there is nothing that leaves a hole in my heart bigger than that. And ultimately, I don't answer to any of these people up here. I'm going to answer to my maker, and that's who I'm going to be answering to on this one, I guess.
Amen to that. I don't like to celebrate any politician, even the ones I vote for, because they almost always fail us. But he seems like a real guy, and I appreciate that. And I like those 2 videos. I think he's pretty funny, and I'm glad that he's on the UFO committee. It's amazing. Like if you see the video of him on the street getting interviewed, it's just so wild to see this man in a suit. He's a congressman. White House is in the background, or maybe it's the Capitol in the background rather, and he's just talking about entities under the water. I mean, that's like conversations I would typically have with schizophrenics on the street, and now it's happening in the highest levels of our land. Amazing. Anyone out there has him as your rep, call us. Let us know what you think. I hope he's doing a good job. I'd like to see some people succeed in this dag-nabbit
I wonder if he actually works.
Yeah. I'm going to try to get him on the show.
Yeah.
I love the South. I love Tennessee. That's the best. I'm a carpetbagger, guys. I left New York, and I'm just slowly going more south.
With your Bible.
Yeah, exactly. Seriously. I left New York to become a Bible-thumping carpetbagger. And
Luddite.
Luddite. Yes. How could I forget? Amazing.
You threw your TV out on the street and called it a day.
Yep. We never had a TV. I didn't have one to throw out.
Oh.
If I did, I would have shot it by now. Speaking of Bibles, let's get into the Antichrist.
Okay.
Good old tech vampire, blood sweating Peter Thiel. So let's pull up friend of the show's video first, actually. Good old Joe Allen. So this is a 5-minute video, but we don't have to watch the whole thing, but I want to watch the first few minutes. This is Joe. He's been on, I think, maybe on the show more than any other guest.
Yeah.
Love Joe, the writer of Dark Aeon. Highly recommend you guys looking it up if you want to see what the future holds when it comes to our AI overlords. This guy, Joe, is plugged in. So here he is telling Steve Bannon what's the deal right now with Peter Thiel and his Antichrist tour.
I think what Peter Thiel's argument is probably going to be, I imagine it's him elaborating on arguments he's made since at least back in January of 2023 when we covered his Oxford Union lecture. And his argument is basically this, that the fear of artificial intelligence or any technology bringing about Armageddon should be secondary to the fear of a global government otherwise known as an antichrist. That the fear of artificial intelligence on any level, but especially the fear that artificial intelligence will become super intelligent and begin killing everyone, that will be used as an excuse to install global governance over everyone for everything. And that Antichrist, because it precedes Armageddon in Revelation, should be the immediate concern. And he's not basing it off of nothing. In that Oxford Union lecture, he talked about Nick Bostrom's ideas, especially the vulnerable world hypothesis, and he openly states that global surveillance will be necessary to keep anyone from developing superintelligence. And others like Eliezer Yudkowsky, who we referenced, and whose book will be coming out next week, and we'll be interviewing them very soon. They also make the arguments up to the point of bombing data centers if anyone steps out of line.
You can pause it there.
The incident.
Highly recommend looking up the rest of that interview. It's great. So that is an interesting take on what Thiel's doing. He has been hinting at that. The Antichrist speeches he's been giving, the 4-part series, I guess, that's been closed. You can't report from it. I don't think you can talk about it afterwards. I feel like, I don't know if I had a nightmare of saying they were making people sign an NDA, or if I actually read that, but I wouldn't be surprised. But that is, for those who haven't listened to this show a bunch and don't know who we're talking about, this is the, he's part of the PayPal mafia, as they say. Thiel and Elon started PayPal together, almost died together in a car accident, which is insane. I think back in like 2000, maybe 2000. But that's a whole other story. It's neither here nor there. But then he became, Palantir. Palantir was funded by the CIA and basically went hand in hand with the Patriot Act. And what Joe's talking about there reminded me of Total Information Awareness, which was a mass detection program by the United States Information Awareness Office, which operated under the title from February to May 2003, before being renamed the Terrorist Information Awareness. Based on the concept of predictive policing, something we talk about quite a bit on the show, pre-crime, TIA was meant to correlate detailed information about people in order to anticipate and prevent terrorist incidents before execution. And you can imagine how that could be spread out into other fields. We're already talking about, we as in the government, just this year, or the end of last year rather, talking about rolling this out in ways that could help with money laundering. So, just how it always is, back in the Patriot Act days, for those who are old enough to remember, the people who were defending it, why should you be concerned about this? If you're not doing anything wrong, you're fine. But the problem is they always redefine what wrong is. So what was okay yesterday could be wrong tomorrow. It wasn't just terrorism then. It's also now money laundering. And they find ways, they sell it today with, we need it for immigration. Trust me, I want to kick out every illegal immigrant. But they will find their way to use this technology to do that, to sell it to the American public. And then it's already deeply embedded into the system. Palantir, like I said, has been around since the Patriot Act. And it's a data scraping entity. It scoops up everything off the internet to put into a system like a Total Information Awareness, which is a lot of things that Thiel is a part of. He also funds stuff like Clearview AI, which I think is abhorrent. If you don't know what that is, it's a facial recognition app service. It literally scraped every single photo off the internet. So even if you are in the background of a photo someone posted in like Times Square, you're in it and you've been entered into the system, you can only imagine how that will be used against you. Thiel has also recently said that he believes, he told this to Ross Douthat, I never know how to say his last name, but he's a great host of a great show, which actually comes out of the New York Times, which is really shocking to say, but he has on interesting guests and they're good questions. And Thiel was on that. You might have seen him squirm when Ross asked him about the Antichrist. And it was weird. Thiel deflected saying he believes someone like Greta Thunberg would be the Antichrist. I'm like, look, I am no fan of Greta Thunberg, but I don't really worry about the things she's doing as much as I worry about the surveillance state that this man is building with all his friends. So if you want to go to that article now, I'll read some of this. This is a recent article about Mr. Thiel. Regulating AI hastens the Antichrist, says Palantir's Peter Thiel. One of the world's most powerful technology leaders has reportedly warned that regulating artificial intelligence risks hastening the coming of the Antichrist. So now, if you want to regulate artificial intelligence, that's what's going to bring in the Antichrist. Dude, these are some major mental loopholes, mental gymnastics that he's making. Peter Thiel, the conservative billionaire who co-founded Palantir, the data analytics group, and PayPal, the payments operator, is said to have made the comments during a lecture delivered in San Francisco this week. Thiel, a former donor to Donald Trump and mentor to J.D. Vance, the vice president, said that fearing or regulating promising technology and scientific progress, including AI, risked courting the devil, according to the Wall Street Journal, which cited people who attended the event. I really wish these were broadcast. I really am fascinated. I think Thiel is a very smart guy, although I disagree with him on a lot of stuff. He's fascinating. And I agree with him on his take on colleges, which is why he set up the Thiel Fellowship, which is basically like, if you are an innovator and you don't want to do college, I'll fund you. And I have no problem with that. It just so happens, though, that the things he's funding are antithetical to humanity, but he would say they are helping to progress humanity and make us better, which is, Cloudman, who has stepped back from the debate for now, is a Thiel fellow.
So butthurt.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I'm not happy. I'm hoping we find a new date soon. I'm not holding my breath. Palantir said last week it would invest up to $1.5 billion in the UK, creating up to 350 jobs, part of a package of announcements from U.S. technology companies, which coincided with Trump's state visit. So you can imagine that they will be using something like that in, we talked about this months ago when the UK announced their homicide detection unit, a pre-crime unit that they're experimenting with now, which will scrape your data and say, hey, this person seems most likely to commit homicide. Let's bring him in. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? Aren't you a patriot? Don't you want to help everybody out? You don't need your freedom. You don't need to trust. Just trust us, okay? Just trust us. We have your best interests at heart.
They're creating 350 jobs.
Yeah, that's right. Which will be replaced by robots soon enough. The Ministry of Defense is expected to spend up to $750 million on Palantir's AI technology in return, which could help identify targets on the battlefield in any future war. And we can go down a whole other rabbit hole we won't do today about the crazy war tech that's come out of Israel and Ukraine. We have discussed AI Lavender, which we believe is using a Palantir technology. Maybe we can look that up really quick.
Yeah.
Can you look up the video of Peter Thiel being asked about AI Lavender? It's typically like it's a short, it'll be a quick little
Is it
video.
on X, you think?
I don't know. I've seen it on YouTube. I'm sure it's on X. But this is a good one. Look, he's also not great at interviews. He is traditionally not great at interviews. So I guess give him some grace for that. He also claims to be Christian. He's a married gay man. And, that's a whole other conversation. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole soon, but I'd like to because I think that's interesting. A lot of the tech guys and the way they, in my opinion, use religion as a costume. That's my take. I'd like to hear more from him about it because he seems to be, in his opinion, he says he's devout. But it's interesting. Did it come up?
Mm-mm.
Well, that's a weird one. It's okay if you don't. I'll just read a little more from this. Oh, look, the next paragraph. The Times has previously reported on Thiel's devout Christian views and their mingling with his business interests and how he's among several Silicon Valley figures who have been speaking more openly about their faith. I don't really buy it. I obviously have my bias against the Silicon Valley and the things they're building, but I see stuff like that when they profess their faith, and it just reminds me of the way a lot of these guys rebranded to MAGA almost overnight when they realized that the last administration, which they totally bent the knee to, I'm talking about Zuckerberg and others, but Zuckerberg comes to mind first, when they're like,
Oh, sorry.
this might be it. And when, they went to him and said, Zuckerberg, censor these people. I'm sure it went a little different than that. He claims he wasn't a part of the conversation, but they did. And so I'm not going to trust any of these people because of the things they're building that I don't agree with, but also because it's just 5 years ago, they were censoring everyone off their platforms who said anything with a dissenting opinion about COVID. I think this is it. Let's play it.
So what do you think about the use of artificial intelligence or lavender by the IDF in identifying Hamas targets? And secondly, do you agree with Elon Musk about that the population decline is a risk for humanity?
Look, I'm not, without going into all the I'm not on top of all the details of what's going on in Israel because my bias is to defer to Israel. It's not for us to second guess everything, and I believe that broadly the IDF gets to decide what it wants to do, and that they're broadly in the right, and that's sort of the perspective I come back to. And if I fall into the trap of arguing you on every detailed point, I would actually be conceding the broader issue that the Middle East should be micromanaged from Cambridge, and I think that's just simply absurd. And so I'm not going to concede that point. And what was the other?
So what do you think about the use of artificial intelligence?
He's not great at answers. AI Lavender, for those who don't know, I'm just going to read this report from 972mag.com. And I will say before, I don't remember if it's in this article or not, but the IDF has said that they said this isn't what they're using. You'll let you guys decide if you believe them or not. In 2021, a book titled The Human Machine Team, How to Create Synergy Between Human and Artificial Intelligence That Will Revolutionize Our World, was released in English under the pen name Brigadier General Y.S. In it, the author, a man who we confirmed to be the current commander of the elite Israeli intelligence unit 8200, makes the case for designing a special machine that could rapidly process massive amounts of data to generate thousands of potential targets for military strikes in the heat of a war. Such technology, he writes, would resolve what he described as a human bottleneck for both locating the new targets and decision-making to approve the targets. Such a machine, it turns out, actually exists. A new investigation by Plus 972 magazine and Local Call reveals that the Israeli army has developed an artificial intelligence-based program known as Lavender, unveiled here for the first time. According to 6 Israeli intelligence officers who have all served in the army during the current war on the Gaza Strip and had first-hand involvement with the use of AI to generate targets for assassination, Lavender has played a central role in the unprecedented bombing of Palestinians, especially during the early stages of the war. In fact, according to the sources, its influence on the military's operations was such that they essentially treated the outputs of the AI machine as if it were a human decision. Formally, the Lavender system is designed to mark all suspected operatives in the military wings of Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad, including low-ranking ones, as potential bombing targets. The sources told 972 and Local Call Chat that during the first weeks of the war, the army almost completely relied on Lavender, which clocked as many as 37,000 Palestinians as suspected militants in their homes for possible airstrikes. I'll leave that there for now, as I want to get to callers soon, but if you guys are interested, look into that. Again, IDF says no. There's a lot of reporting on it. This article also is just saying, according to sources, typically, it's tough. I like to hear names of sources, but you got to understand, why sometimes writers don't include the names of sources for they don't want to die. But I think, as much as I've seen, I do believe Lavender is being used. I do believe it has a very high error rate of killing innocent people, and I don't think we should be using AI to kill people anywhere. It's a pretty scary thing, and if it's all real, which I believe it is certainly using something like Palantir, if not Palantir. So I don't think he is the Antichrist, but he might be building it or summoning it through his technology and all his friends' technology. Curious what you guys think about that. Again, I said it last night, I'll say it again. Episode 50 did a pretty deep dive into this whole realm of all these guys: Altman, Hoffman, Andreessen, Thiel. And I also want to say, I'm a Luddite. I'm not offended if that's I think Luddite, reclaim the word Luddite, because Luddites, if you look into it, they were not anti-tech. Clearly, I'm here in a room talking to you on a microphone and camera. They weren't anti-tech. They were anti being replaced by mass autonomy. They were using the tech of their day, and they didn't like that factories were being built filled with these technologies and replacing them. And at some point, they even had more soldiers fighting the Luddites than they had in the Napoleonic War fighting Napoleon. And at some point, there were even they would exile you for harming a machine, or even give you the death sentence. So, I think that these things kind of repeat themselves, and it might happen soon. And there's a new Luddite crowd now in the UK. I'd imagine it's going to be even crazier with the homicide detection unit, but they're out there taking down a lot of these weird dystopian technologies that are fining people for driving those cars that aren't up to environmental standards. So it's wild. I don't trust these guys, and I don't like what they're building. And I don't like that they keep saying it's for the better of humanity, because they keep saying AI is going to make everything better. It's going to make education better. But look at our reading rates right now in the nation. Look how badly school's going. Look how our kids, they can't read. They don't know history. And we have these things in our pockets at all times that are supposed to get you connected to a lot of stuff. And it hasn't really done much. I mean, it's great. I can do research. I can send out jokes. You know, it's so much fun. But I don't think the AI will do what they say, what they're promising. Kind of like how Cloudman says he's out there to seed clouds to help farmers in droughts. But their goal is to create more rain, more water for data centers. And the data centers are being built at an enormous clip all around the country, and they soak up a lot of water, despite Cloudman not really saying that was true, which it was, and he says it in the Sean Ryan interview.
I think you need a documentary.
Yeah, I might have to if I don't get the debate.
6'7" Kevin is in the chat. He was earlier.
Ooh.
I think you guys need to link up and do
That would be cool.
fake cloud documentary.
I am into that idea.
Yeah.
6'7" Kevin.
If
we
you're
need
with us,
a fake cloud documentary.
call into the show. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Even if it's just for a few minutes.
Yeah. Shout out to 6'7" Kevin.
Shout out to our audience, everyone who's following the show, liking our show, sharing the
Yep.
show. If you've come over from IRL, welcome, welcome, welcome. We do have a super chat from Brian K. $5. My family, friends, and I were abducted from a sailboat off the coast of New Jersey when I was young.
What?
Yeah, call in and tell us more
Yeah,
about
tell
that.
us about that. Value in You said Shane is my favorite Long Island medium, way better than Teresa Caputo.
I want Teresa Caputo on the show. I've been asking
You've been
for
saying
her
that for years.
before we've even
Before I had
been
the
live.
show, you were like, I need her as a guest. Like, we
I
didn't have a
know.
show. What are you talking about?
I know.
Like, I just really need her.
I just need her.
Yeah, dude, best audience out there. We love you guys. Thank you guys for showing up. Two things. Bad news. I will not be here tomorrow. I got family stuff. I know I cut out early last night. I feel bad. I gotta do some family stuff tomorrow night. I don't get to do it often. I'm saying no to a lot of family things, and I want to be with my fam. So I'm very sorry about that. I'll be back Monday. The second thing is I am opening up for Sam Tripoli on New Year's Eve
Whoop, whoop.
at the Dojo of Comedy in New Jersey. That's going to be fun.
Speaking of Jersey,
Don't
go on a sailboat.
Yeah, right. Uh-oh. The show's on a sailboat. No. But you can go to the dojo. Let me see what that website is. I should have had this pulled up already. I meant to say it earlier and I forgot. But shout out to the great Sam Tripoli.
That's awesome.
I love Sam. He's been on this show. I've been on his show. We did what did we do recently? It was in April. We did the Nephilim Death Squads, Bohemian Grove. That was amazing. Sam, Owen Benjamin, the NDS guys, Top and Raven. That was an amazing time. And we'll be back at the dojo. This will be my third time at the dojo. I love this spot. You can go to tiffscomedy.com, TIFFS comedy.com. Love it there. It's where the last two Grifty Awards took place, hosted by the great Hoteps. Love those guys. So that'll be fun. New Year's Eve, Sam Tripoli. I'll be opening up. Got some things I gotta say.
People are wondering, thinking that there might still be a show tomorrow, even though you won't be here. No, I don't believe there'll be a show at all. So we'll be back.
Brandon's
Monday.
gone. You're gone. Unless you want to come do it alone.
By myself. They would rather not.
Alex was on Pop Culture Crisis earlier today.
We should get Brett up here.
Yeah.
He's like, I talked to him about it. I think he's like, I don't know stuff about conspiracies.
What is that? Always hear Shane. Who is it? Anthony Gutierrez says, always hear Shane getting shout outs on Tripoli and NDS. Yeah, those guys, they're the homies. They've been on this show too, a few times. Raven's been on. They've been on together. Raven's been on. Told a wild story. Actually, you can go look up that episode where he told us a crazy story about some sleep stuff. Amazing. But yeah, those guys are great, and you should find them. And find them on Rumble. I wasn't following. I had a lot going on today, but I saw some things of Top talking about Rumble, giving them some issues. So looks like they need some support. And if you guys are out there and you're not following them already, you should be following the Nephilim Death Squad on Rumble. They're fun guys. And with that said, let's get to some callers.
All right.
Bum, 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 bum.
Dev, are you with us?
I am here.
What's up?
Hey, buddy. How's it going?
It's going, man. How are you? Welcome back.
Good. Okay, so I just wanted to do a quick thing. Quick message or whatever. Okay, so do you know what the first third party of the United States was?
Tip of my tongue. What is it?
It would be the anti-Masonic Party.
Yeah, I have gone
Which
down
is
that a while
very
ago.
interesting, you know.
It is.
To think that the first third party, not being like libertarian or anything like that, was the anti-Masonic Party is an interesting tidbit of information to know.
That's right.
But the main thing that I wanted to talk about was like the UFO stuff, and like it actually like it all connects, I think, in reality. Like I try to take like a third person view on the whole situation of what's going on and everything. And like so I sent you a video of like a clip from a mini series on Hulu called Devs.
Okay.
And that shows kind of important to it visualizes for us like what the future could hold, just like kind of like dystopian wise, but actually kind of like interesting in a way as well. And what I mean by that is like, okay, so like we kind of know that quantum physics works because we're now starting to apply it to like quantum computers or whatever. Okay, that kind of makes sense or whatever.
Yep. And they're picking up speed right now.
Right. Yeah, totally. So like, and they have to do it as fast as they can, because if the whole world finds out what's going on, it's like not going to be good for them. And that's what I'm trying to do, kinda, I guess. But like, an interesting thing to note is like to understand like how it's possible even that like UFOs or whatever exist, is to understand like how they might work, and like if they're using quantum physics to power their things, or if they're self-assembling systems inside the ocean or whatever they are, if they're extra dimensional or interdimensional or extraterrestrial, or if they've been here for thousands of years, whatever. Which we know they've been here for thousands of years, we believe, because of stories and the artwork or whatever. But this video that I sent you on Twitter, we don't have to listen to it or anything, but like it explains how it's possible. Like, so the mini series Devs is about like a very, very powerful computer that can literally predict the future, and they are starting to develop that right now, in my opinion, using these data systems that they're filling all of this AI algorithms and the data, like
all the things they're scraping off the internet. Yep. Everything we do is being fed into it.
Right. Well, I believe wholeheartedly. I mentioned about how like quantum physics plus philosophy equals spirituality, and spirituality plus the Messiah's way equals God's will type situation. We talked about that a long time ago, but like the thing about it is like in the show Devs, they literally show like through like they can't get a good model of what's going to happen in the future, because the guy refuses to accept multi worlds interpretation as a possibility for it to be fed in, and one of the developers just slips it in there to basically show them that's possible. Well, before that happens, like they express a visualization of the computer simulation that they made to view it from. And they literally, like, and I believe that predictive programming is real, but they showed they could see that they could see the past too, and they said that they could glimpse Christ on the cross.
Right.
Well, like these quantum, like this quantum physics stuff is like connected to the like UFO stuff, because like if you think about it in dimensions, like surface level stuff, like we're like being fed all of this theatrical stuff or like entertainment to keep us distracted from seeing what's going on behind the scenes. And one of those things is like the quantum realm.
Yeah, and they're building it big time right now. People are really not paying attention to how crazy this is about to get.
Yeah, for sure. So like one of the main things I like to I would like expand upon with that thing that I said earlier about the quantum physics and philosophy stuff is like an axiom of quantum mechanics or quantum physics is that through quantum mechanics, using probability theory and multi-worlds interpretation, like you have to come to the conclusion that Jesus did what he did and was who he was. And that's not a thing to like get people to like scientifically think about like faith in that sense, because like what I believe that the other religions were doing was like maybe like worshiping like cymatics, or they were worshiping quantum physics themselves if Vimana were real, and they were using like different types of propulsion or whatever that we don't know about, and a breakaway civilization could have been possible through that
Imagine
whatever.
if one of those ancient civilizations that was advanced had something like a quantum computer, and they still have it, say, below the ocean somewhere. And then imagine what the predictive programming they could be pumping out with the storytelling and all the things they can plan. I mean, that might sound crazy, but if you're, I advise everyone to start looking into the quantum computing, because it's going to be, okay, so we have what you're talking about, and we have this idea of like they're going to be trying to answer all these questions, and we also have the complete death of privacy, which we kind of already have. Everyone's social security numbers have already leaked onto the dark web. Sorry. But that's the case. But imagine one of these concerns with these supercomputers is that it will be able to like hack into you easily, figure out your passwords. Like there will be nothing hiding. You can't hide from this thing. So that's a very big concern. Plus, imagine that now hooked into the pre-crime stuff we were talking about, that Thiel, Palantir. So you imagine all these things coming together, like in a evil Voltron thing. It's not going to be good.
Yeah, no doubt. The last thing I'll say is like, so like they figured out that like, and I'm not saying that we live in a simulation or anything like that. I do believe that it's like a simulation possibly, but they figured out that our brains are like computers, and like they can program us with stuff and influence us through that predictive programming stuff to culturally influence us, to engineer us to do whatever they want. So they've been doing that for a long time through music and through all of these different outlets of entertainment to distract us from all of this other bullshit.
Yep.
Excuse my French.
No, yeah, you're good. I agree. I think they know how malleable our brains are, and they pump us full of propaganda. You know, go look up Edward Bernays with the spells they were casting with advertising, and it's just brainwashing. We just the
Right.
other day talked about the
Programmed to
CIA.
kill.
Exactly. The MK Ultra stuff. Let's give everyone LSD. Let's get everyone hooked up on pharmaceuticals, and then add to that the proliferation of technology. How we are constantly plugged in all the time, and the supercomputer stuff is on the horizon. It's already here. It's already an issue. But I think that's going to be a menace, like an actual menace to humanity.
Totally, dude. One last thing, and that is like, okay, so there's a philosophy of quantum physics too. So fundamentally, we as a society have used what we know that runs runs the world. Like at first, it was like fire, air, water, and earth that we knew was running the world, and then we found out that it wasn't that. It was like something different. And each time the philosophy changes to adapt to how we need to think in the future. And if we don't adapt to understand what could be ahead, and we don't like kind of keep the distractions away, then we're gonna just, it's gonna be like the dystopian future that everybody like sees gonna happen.
Exactly. I totally agree, man. I appreciate the phone call. Thanks for bringing that topic up. Very important topic, and I just say we got to pray.
Pray,
it's this
guys,
kind of
pray.
stuff, like this massive evil, that was one of the big reasons of like I need an actual anchor in reality, like God, because that's a constant for me. Because that is the only thing we can. This is insane stuff. What they're building. All the lavender stuff is wild, but this is going to get spooky.
Yeah, man, it is. It's Einstein called it that. It's spooky action at a distance.
That's
you know, and so look into it, guys. The philosophy of quantum physics too. Appreciate you.
Yeah, man. Have a good
Great
night. Before we get to the next caller, I'm just gonna do
That
a
was
quick little.
depressing.
Yeah. Welcome to the show.
What a downer.
Technology.org, though. Quantum computing promises to solve the seemingly unsolvable in fields such as physics, medicine, cryptography, and more. But as the race to develop the first large-scale, error-free commercial device heats up, it begs the question, how can we check that these impossible solutions are correct? Error-free. Like, this is how they're going to sell it to you. It's going to be error-free. This is from a new Swinburne study. Swinburne, Freudian slip. There exists a range of problems that even the world's fastest supercomputer cannot solve, unless one is willing to wait millions or even billions of years for an answer, says lead author, a postdoctoral research fellow from Swinburne's Center for Quantum Science and Technology Theory, Alexander Delios. I need a title. I need a bigger title in my name, I think. You know, like this guy. That was like a full sentence of things I have to read. I could have just read his name. Therefore, in order to validate quantum computers, methods are needed to compare theory and result without waiting years for a supercomputer to perform the same task. So what they're saying is they want these answers like that from the supercomputers, but these answers can only be actually answered verifiably with our eyes years into the future. So you can't verify it, which is kind of the argument, again, with another Thiel fellow. Forget her name, but the company is Orchid. And that's like this eugenesis IVF situation they got going on. And she was also on Ross's show, that New York Times podcast, which is good, despite it being a part of New York Times. And she's getting these questions like, well, how do you know? You know, it's kind of like how I ask Cloudman about sodium iodide. How do we know? And he's basing this on studies, 80 years of studies, which I think are shaky. And she's like, well, we don't know because it's, they just started doing these babies. They've just started making these babies because they're claiming they can cure them. They can like take out the schizophrenia gene, or they can take out this cancer gene that is in the family. But there's really no way of knowing if that's happening or not, because you need, some of these diseases don't show up until you're older. Like schizophrenia doesn't show up until you're like in your late teens and your 20s.
Same as like take the vaccine. It's going to help you not get sick. But
Trust the science, bro.
Trust the science, man.
But yeah, supercomputer's going to wipe out your passwords. You won't be able to hide. It'll be attached to Clearview AI. So if you do something wrong, it will bomb you in the street.
Luddites.
Bring back the Luddites, guys. I'm telling you, don't let them make that a pejorative. It's a good thing. We love technology. We just don't want to be destroyed by it. You know? Go read Uncle Ted. Who's next?
The man who knows everything. He's been patiently waiting.
Oh, yeah. Oh, nice. Okay. I thought you were talking about Uncle Ted, but I see what you did there. I see what you did there.
Elite Savior, you're in the room with us.
Right now.
Yeah. No, that's just the demons.
Imagine he just pops right through the camera.
Oh, hello.
Hey, hello.
There's she on again. Okay.
What's up?
Okay, well, let me try to, I value your time. I want to try to get quick, right to the point, something valuable.
Great.
I would like you to discern me separately from anyone you've probably ever had on.
Okay, I try to do that for everybody.
Yeah, but I'm like really different.
How so?
So, well, I mean, I'm not kidding when I really said I do kind of know everything. There's really not a question I can't answer. But there's three main questions I want to get out of the way first that I get 24/7.
Okay.
How, why, and when. No, I'm not going to tell you when. I don't really know anyways. Nobody really knows, even the ones doing the work. How? I mean, I give you Paul White Gold Eagle. That's a great example. It's a tough subject. And why? Well, that's classified. So I'm not going to tell you.
When you say classified amongst your community, or is this a government thing?
Both.
So you're working with the government?
Not officially. Our division is basically like, basically we're in charge. Like there is no like all the worldwide governments, all the stuff you see, all that, it's all a facade. It's all fake. We're basically under what's called a theocracy, meaning that the only militaries, or there's only two militaries. There's the black hats and then there's the white hats. Military is the only option. So, I mean, we basically have to use the military to, gain sovereignty and freedom on this planet. So it's just the white hats. It's basically Neuralink is actually old technology. And then I like to call it Source Link, just for a fun little term.
So you're saying that the military, are we going to have some sort of major action soon?
So what you call UFOs, I'm just going to tell you guys a bunch of crazy stuff. I hope this really doesn't go viral. But the only UFO that matters is the sun. That there's not a UFO that matters that's not the sun. Basically, your organic body, that is like what matters. That you are the most advanced UFO in existence. There are beings across the universe that are jealous of the humans here because of how advanced our starting point is in regards to our capabilities for advancement and evolution.
What's your concept of the universe? How big?
Well, I mean, there's multiple universes. What do you want to know about it?
So let's talk about ours. How big do you think it is, and are there other life forms out there?
Oh, yeah, 100%. We're under a quarantine. That's why you're not seeing that. You're not seeing any interaction because we're upholding what's called the Prime Directive, which prohibits interaction between non-warp capable humans, meaning that you personally are not warp capable. So you have not reached a sufficient level of advancement to be able to interact with the beings that are all around you already.
How long have we been in quarantine?
Since the fall. And our last ascension attempt was Atlantis. And, we're not going to do that again.
So
right, guys?
what's the deal with Atlantis? We were talking about underwater cities, perhaps, earlier in the show.
Yeah, I was told that Atlantis was I don't know. I've lost track a little bit. I've heard some intel on maybe Atlantis was our 6th or 7th attempt. Basically, we get an attempt about every 26,000 years. And that one attempt is an attempt to get from 3D to 5D.
You realize when you're not giving exact specifics, it does seem to many that you don't know everything. If you can't tell us like specifics with this stuff, like we need hard data here.
So if you like hard data, you can pull up the Schumann resonance. Stefan Burns is my recommendation as far as like, hard data, as far as, magnetic fields and stuff. And then also as well too, I like to mention that PEMF devices, which is developed by NASA, generates a personal electromagnetic field. And the existence of those really is kind of like an admission by NASA that the Earth's magnetic field does have an effect on the human. And so what it is there's a collective of humans that are working with the magnetic fields of the sun, and that affects the entire universe.
And we're allowed to do that while we're in quarantine, and no one's gonna be upset.
Well, yeah, because yeah, of course we have freedom, bro. The Galactic Codex. Sorry, honestly, there's your answer I was looking for. I should have mentioned that first. Honestly, I highly suggest that you learn the Galactic Codex because that's a law, and there is no law above it. So forget like your First Amendment and all that stuff. If it's not under Galactic Codex, period. That will be upheld with the military.
Where does one find that?
It's on the Cobra website, on his blog spot, for the Cobra blog spot website. If you just type in Galactic Codex Cobra, they kind of, Google has it like shadow banned. So if you just try to search for it, it doesn't come up. That really kind of tells you it's something too. But it's on Cobra's blog spot website. And the Galactic Codex is basically our bylaws that allow us to do and take control of the planet with military force.
Does the president understand what's going on? If you say this is classified, is this in his purview?
Oh yeah. Well, I'll throw you a bone. Okay, I'll give you names of 3 people, and I hope this does not go viral. Oh man. But I will give you names of 3 people that are like on our level, basically. That would be RFK Jr., Trump, and Putin. I am declaring those 3 people to be white hats.
Are they the first of any president to be a white hat? Or is it Trump?
Yeah. Oh man. Oh yeah. Yeah. We've been under black hat control, guys, for like a long time. So I mean, like, it's a process to regain control of an entire planet.
So is Trump a time traveler?
Yes. He has access to everything, basically, for the most part. He is under sovereign protection of the Galactic Codex, is what protects him. That's actually why he was not assassinated.
Interesting. Was he Elvis?
Is Elvis
I don't know everything. I'm not omnipotent, and I'm not allowed to prove my ability.
You said you knew everything.
Okay, so I'm not allowed to prove my ability. So like if someone asks me a question related to remote viewing and so I have to like either pretend or things will be on my subconscious. My higher self keeps things from me. Like, it's complicated. I don't just like know everything. I'm not like omnipotent.
Okay. And I forget, you said you don't believe in God, or you do?
We call God source.
Okay.
So yeah, we believe in God for sure.
Because you referenced the fall. You referenced the fall, so you believe in the fall of man.
Yeah, I mean, basically, we're like those, like Trump, RFK Jr., and Putin. We're like actual true disciples of Jesus, like actual legit, like true disciples of Jesus, which is more rare than humans realize.
Who else?
I mean, I'm coming out. It's a big deal for me to make a list, man. Like, you gotta understand, like, we're highly targeted people. For me to put myself on a list with Trump, RFK Jr., and Putin, like, I mean, let's be straight, man. Like, that's a big deal for me to come out publicly and say that.
I mean, there's thousands of people watching right now.
Yeah, I know. I'm aware.
So, you're taking quite a big chance if this is so classified and dangerous for you. You definitely chose. I mean, we're not the biggest show, but there are a few thousand people currently listening to you.
Yeah. Well, I got to the point to where I'm just like, you humans are constantly like, when this, what's going on? I'm just like, okay, guys, calm down. Let me just at least come out and say something. Anybody that wants to know, here, I'll tell you something, whatever. It's like, I'm not really concerned for my safety. I'm kind of got that handled myself.
Did he say you humans?
Yeah, he did say you humans. So
you're not human.
You're not a human.
Not well. As far as what an extraterrestrial actually is, I am a being from Terra Nova, so I am like the term extraterrestrial, I am actually that term, although I am considered human, which is human, which is a hue, like the hue of a rainbow, and a man, it's an etymology, it's an encrypted English is something I use a lot, so there's etymology, it's complicated.
All right, can I ask you a few questions that I'm seeing in the chat that I think are important?
Sure.
Black Guitar 14, this is a good one. Do you know if Creed is going to play the anti-Super Bowl?
Creed?
Creed, the great Creed.
That's the question?
I think that's the most important question to ask.
I would have to like do an advanced timeline scan. That would be a big deal for me to look that up. And I would only do it if it was important, and it's not important.
I mean, Creed is like the Beatles of our day. So
I get it.
Okay, this is a good one. Cheeb 34. When does Baron Trump reveal himself and take over?
So all of the white hats are being like low key about it right now because they don't want to seem crazy. Because you'll notice people in the chat are already be like, "This dude is Opus Rocker." Like I am straight. Like
Everyone totally believes you.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Remind me, there's white hats and black
hats.
cats.
Yeah. Isn't that a Q thing?
Yeah, that's why I have a rank. It's Q++ Alpha Prime.
And what's that mean?
Well, that's exactly why you're not going to know what it is until you know.
Okay, then.
You know?
All right. Well, brother, we're going to move on to the next caller. It is a pleasure to hear from you again.
Wait, I have to ask one more question.
Oh, yeah. Go, please.
Okay.
Who shot Charlie Kirk?
Oh, man, that's a really tough subject to get into. All I can say is that there was a co-creative agreement on the timeline, and the timeline is better now because of that situation. And so we kind of used the black hats against themselves to make things better. And so we kind of like gave in a little bit on some stuff in order for the better good. And so that's as much as I can really say on that.
All right, then. All right. Well, always a pleasure.
Thanks for calling in.
Please call back.
Yeah.
We'll continue this. Thank you. So, what do you guys think? I'd like more answers, but I appreciate that conversation.
Yeah.
But some people are saying big fake and very gay. So, but other people are interested. They are interested. I just need more answers. I need more answers. Imagine him and Sarge talking. I don't know if the audience could take it.
You'd lose me. I'd be like, where are we? What's happening? What planet is this?
Oh man, I love it though. That stuff's wild. That's great. That's great. That's like the kind of stuff I loved on Art Bell. I mean, he had some wild calls, and I'm just, it's up to you guys. I have my reservations.
Mm-hmm.
I need more answers. I'll have to look up. He did give me some things to look at. I'll look them up, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, report what you find.
I will. Hopefully I find something. Who do we got next?
I was so distracted.
See,
by
look at that. Carol said, excellent caller.
Yeah, well, I mean, you got haters and lovers, you know?
Hey everyone, how's it going?
What's
Good.
up?
Not much. Thanks for having me back.
Of course. Welcome back.
Yeah, so a question for you as a father, right?
Mhm.
So let's say everything is real. Let's say everything, even the last caller, just take it for granted it's real,
Mhm.
right? Like we can't come up here and say, no, that's fake, when it's just like, we have no freaking idea.
Right.
I mean, there's little things in the world, like I've worked with schizophrenics, and for some reason schizophrenics know when women are pregnant before women know. Odd things, right?
Oh, I know. Yeah. It's wild.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
schizophrenics are plugged into something that we
Yeah.
can perceive.
Yeah, so this weird thing. So let's say, look, everything spiritual warfare, got it, it's real. Antichrist, got it, it's real. Aliens, got it, it's real. What this guy was talking about, God is real. Let's take it for granted, right? So let's say as a father, how can you be a good father? And I'm gonna say a good father as in you make your children competent enough in like the normal things, say finances, to dealing with these novel things that are coming up for them that we don't even have a clue on.
Yeah. I mean, you have to prepare your children to inherit a very absurd and dark world. We're coming at it from a biblical place, so it's kind of have to fit in with how we take the Bible literally, and some of that stuff just doesn't fit in. But I love hearing the conversation, and I'm not sure I would believe in that enough. Like, I don't know how it could even be proven to me for me to be like, oh wow, he was right, because there's so many things in the war on reality to try to manipulate you into believing it. Whereas, since I know that, that's probably what I would say. My kids have to be older anyway for these types of conversations, because now it's just like, it's base level. We're building a foundation, good versus evil, good guys, bad guys, and then learning just the basics all around the whole spectrum of life and art, English and math, history. So I'd wait for them to be older to get into the deeper stuff, into the nitty gritty. My oldest is 9. He's already starting to question things. But, when it comes to stuff like that, for me, it's too far out of the realm of how I see things. And I know I see things pretty far out of the realm, but I'm looking at it through a biblical lens. Or I'm trying my best to, and seeing how it applies or how it doesn't apply. Does that answer?
Yeah, I get it. But just a question though. It's like, well, how do you define good? Because I'm having some trouble defining that in a way where if I had to write it down and teach it to my kids, just in case I'm not around, how do I say that?
Yeah, what's ethical? People acting ethical, people acting moral, people who don't lie, people who aren't greedy, people who aren't corrupt. It's kind of you have to look at all the bad things. So those are things I think are clearly bad. And then people who are, good things are people who are selfless, people who go out of their way to help you, people who show actual acts of love and kindness, people who are patient, people who extend grace. Those are things I look for that are good. And my kids have already unfortunately seen a lot of bad people in the world that sometimes you're just out in the world and you can't shield them from those things. And it becomes a moment where I can kind of define what that means, how we interact with it, how we interpret it, how we avoid it, all that, how we deal with it, all that stuff, and then find that as a way to then go into what is the opposite of that. If it's a bad thing, talk about what the good, how could you have done that in a better way? How could you deal with that better? If you were that person, what would you have done differently? But my kids are 9, 5, and 1, so I try to take it in a way where it's digestible for them at that age. But that's kind of how I see it as good and evil. I mean, and then there's extremes, obviously, like there's bad people who want to hurt kids. There's bad people who want to abduct kids. Bad people who want to steal from you, kill you, all that stuff. And I haven't gotten, obviously, too deep into that realm with my kids. But, I don't know if my son will remember it. And I told this story at the Bohemian Grove. I did have to chase someone out of my house with a shotgun who tried harming my kid once in New York. And my kid didn't see that exact part. And I don't know what he saw, but, it was a pretty wild moment. And that's not something I've done regularly. It's the only time I've done that. I had to get involved with the police and say some things, but that was extreme evil. And, I couldn't talk to my kid about it exactly how I would talk about my wife, but that's an extreme evil. And then there's good, we talk about his grandparents and the love they show and showing just kindness to your friends and understanding, one thing we talk about a lot since we go to church and, we're trying to raise them how we think is the right way, the one true way. He's obviously also experienced kids who don't believe that at all. And I'm talking about my oldest son now. And he's had kids tell him, like, they mock his religion or they say it's fake, it's not real. And that's something you're going to encounter. And I think it's important to encounter. And seeing my son succeed in those moments, saying he's going to pray for them. I did not have that mindset at 9. I would have probably gotten into a fight or said some things that were not nice. But my son is thankfully better than me already, and he's learning to extend that grace, but also We have to learn self-defense for situations when you need self-defense. So I guess that's my long-winded answer of balancing good and evil in a world and telling your kids about it and how you define it. And, you see it every day in the world when you're out in the world in small ways and then in bigger ways.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And I just want to say I appreciate that y'all teach all this stuff. I'm so stuck in the psychoanalytical world where I'm like, man, I've missed out on a whole lot of things that you teach about. Because like I'm going to be teaching my kids about, well, how to not get manipulated and how to read someone and understanding brainwashing, soul murder, manipulation.
That's good. Yeah, that's good though.
Yeah, I mean, one of my I was up in Boston in training, so I got out of Massachusetts and got myself out of that hellhole. So I'm glad I got on New York. One of the people who hated me the most was the president of my analytical school. They called me a whole lot of things, heretic and all that stuff.
Wow.
But she said to me, "Oh, you're the snake in the Garden of Eden." And I always thought that was kind of interesting. I was like, what does that mean?
Sometimes it's people projecting.
Yeah, but I think it was actually good. Sorry. Well, because then I asked her to say it again because I heard it the way that I just said it, and then she said, "Oh no, you're the snake in the Garden of Eden." I was like, "The Garden of Eden? What's that?" Right. And then her son took me aside and talked about she's very hedonistic, and she was kind of messed up person. I was like, I think that's what we gotta be, right? Like we gotta be cunning. Like not evil, but very cunning.
You have to learn, and you have to learn, self-defense. And I mean, there's parts in the Bible it talks about they're not supposed to lie, and the women in Exodus trying to get around lying. I forget the exact passage, but it's when Pharaoh has ordered all the firstborn sons to be murdered, and I don't think they actually lie, but there's a loophole. I'm forgetting exactly how they stated it in Exodus. But, you got to think about that. How do you, if you believe lying is a sin, how do you tell the truth but also save someone in an instance like that where there's a mass genocide happening? But yeah, I think it's also very important to understand the mind games people play. It's all mind games. There's so many people you'd never expect it. People who pretend to be your friend, and then it turns out a week later they were just using you. And they've manipulated you. And those are actually conversations I've had with my kid. And it started by somehow he saw, there's like a poster or something about what was it? Fentanyl. But it didn't say fentanyl, it was like fake pills. He didn't understand it. And I kind of had to walk him through, which is important to tell your kids, even if someone gives you something you think looks like Advil, which we're not taking anyway. But if someone said, and it's your friend, and he said his mom gave it to you, you're not taking it. You can't take it because you don't know what it is. And that's how Prince died. He thought he was taking, I forget what, I forget the drug, some painkiller, and it was fentanyl. Prince died from a fentanyl overdose, and they don't even know who gave him that drug. So from that conversation, I then swerve into the conversation of people present themselves sometimes as something they're not. And that's very unfortunate, but it happens all the time. And you have to be very aware of that. Because your kids, when they're old enough, I think 9 seemed like appropriate for us to talk about that because there's horrible stories out there with kids and people pretend to be nice and do terrible things. And you unfortunately have to prepare them for that while also not scaring them out of the world, but preparing them for the world because that's unfortunately the world we got.
Yeah, this sucks, but nothing better to do, right? It's the best stuff.
There's a lot of evil people out there, man, and we're just trying to do our best.
Cool. All right. Thanks for taking a call. Just seeing your thought on that stuff.
Yeah, man. I appreciate the question. Have a good night, brother.
Take it easy.
R.I.P. Prince. Prince was the man. Prince was the man.
Wasn't Michael Jackson the same thing?
Michael Jackson was killed by propofol, and his doctor gave it to him. And he was charged with manslaughter, but he only did 2 years, I think, of a 4-year sentence. I think that's super shady. I think both those are shady. Prince and MJ were awesome. I don't believe the MJ stuff. I know probably people are going to be like, I believe it. He was weird. I think that was character assassination. I think the documentary was complete propaganda.
Well, I'm sure
I'm not saying he's innocent, though. But I just don't know. I do love Michael Jackson's music and Prince's music. But they certainly had issues with contracts. And You know, to bring it back to the beginning of the episode, when I was with Ye, he was legitimately concerned about what happened to Prince and MJ, and rightfully so. You're Kanye West. You are now being debanked. They're saying you take your kids away. You had a guy who was your personal trainer who was an MK Ultra guy from Canada. He had legitimate concerns about handlers getting drugged, and then it kind of happened.
Yeah.
You know, like we and him, we talked for a while, then he did his own thing, and I was like, wow, I can't believe I even had the weekend with him, right?
Yeah.
Then we had this like weeks of doing all this stuff on the phone. That was wild. And then he got married and did his thing, and then there were rumors in his camp. I kept in touch with some of them about something's wrong, right? And then I thought something was wrong too when I saw the performance in Miami a year later, and then months and months go by, and then Milo put out that thing with he was addicted to nitrous, and Kanye's talked about that a little bit, but so it kind of did happen. Like I don't know the story. I think I think Ye is suing the dentist. This weird guy. You guys can look that up. It's a whole other crazy story. But
have you seen or heard much about the documentary?
No, I heard it wasn't that great.
Yeah,
which stinks. I'd like to check it out, but no one really ever gets it right. Everyone always tries to make him look like
nuts.
He's mentally ill. You know, I know everyone's got opinions. I did not get that. I think he's a genius, and even while he set the world on fire, which is 3 words, he did say, "I love Jews and I love Hitler." Everyone remembers the Hitler part. Those 3 words just set the world on fire. But he was, I mean, it was crazy, but he was totally fine, totally cool, totally chill, going to church, you know, getting lunch, and it was incredible. But yeah, I think he had legitimate concerns, and it seems to have turned out nitrous is not good, and there's a huge nitrous problem, especially in California, with people getting hooked up to laughing gas, and it really destroys your brain. It's really sad. So I pray for him. It's terrible stuff. But let's get to another caller.
All right.
Let's do it. Thank you guys for sticking around tonight. Let's see who's this. Zen Wolf Bear says "Blood on the Leaves." Great song. Great song. So good. I stopped with Vultures. I defended every Ye record, but I couldn't do Vultures. I think it had a lot of AI. Zen Wolf Bear also says, yeah, the Kanye doc is in theaters. I would like to see it. I'm just always disappointed when they always have to be like, and this is where he had the mental decline, and this is that, and they're just like, okay, now you're showing me that you just didn't like what he was saying. But MJ said it, and so did Prince, and so did Ari Shaffir. So, you know, a lot of weird people taking advantage of people.
Our Zoom is like, I don't know.
It's got issues.
Yeah, it's got issues. Anyway.
Carol says Red Corvette, sick song.
Come on.
Prince was probably a better all-around musician. MJ had great songs. They don't really
Can you
care
guys
about
hear
us
me?
as one of the
Yes,
best songs
we
ever.
can.
What's up?
I accidentally admitted somebody.
Hey.
How's it going?
My computer, my internet is so bad it just disconnected me. Like as soon as you guys picked me up, I'm glad I got in.
We're getting attacked. It's Cloud Man.
Yeah, so I wanted to kind of talk about what some of the other callers were talking about quantum computers and the stuff that they're going to do.
Let's hear it.
So there's a physicist right now. His name is Max Tegmark. He has this theory about the multiverse called the ultimate ensemble theory.
Okay.
And the theory goes that the universe is actually mathematical at its core. It's not capable of being represented by mathematics. It actually is math. And that every mathematically possible universe does exist, and they exist at the same time. So it's kind of a multiverse theory.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a theory that I've had for a couple of years, kind of based on that they're going to be able to use quantum random number generators with quantum computers to basically brute force the entire mathematical structure of our reality. And in that mathematical structure of our reality is human souls, angels, demons, and other really complex mathematical formulas. And I think they're going to be able to use random number generators to basically to summon demons out of the thin air into computers.
So let's pause there for a sec. So the AI, a lot of these AI guys have literally said with AI, they are summoning the demon. That's Elon's words.
Right.
So what you're saying is your theory is they can find a way with this technology to hack reality. And through that, you're saying with brute force, random number generator, basically make everything spill out from it, like the scene in Ghostbusters when all the ghosts are let loose?
Well, it won't come out of that physically, but they'll be able to, like I said, they'll be able to get those mathematical structures inside of the quantum computer and then probe it, test it somehow to see if it's conscious or not. And then they'll have access to it. I don't know if it'll actually physically come out of that, but I think that they'll be able to do that. There's actually a Japanese anime, not an anime, it's a manga from the 80s called Digital Devil Story, which is based on this. It's about using computers to summon demons.
Okay.
The video game Shin Megami Tensei, which started in the early 90s, is based on that. And crazy enough, in the first Shin Megami Tensei, Stephen Hawking, of all people, builds one of these machines which summons demons, and it causes a particle collider of all things to go crazy and open a portal to hell, and demons spill out of it. And this was a Super Nintendo game.
Oh, no way. I was just going to ask you how you thought this fit in with something like CERN.
The Japanese apparently think it does. I mean, Stephen Hawking is literally the end boss of that game. Like, he's in the wheelchair and everything.
Because it seems like the brute force you're talking about could come about with a particle collider.
I don't think it's directly connected because, the particle collider and the quantum computers are totally different. But apparently the Japanese think that they're connected in some way. So maybe that is.
Interesting. Well, that would be fun. What do you think that'll look like? If they do this, you think it'll just give them access to the other realm, or you think it'll actually spill in?
I think that they'll be able to use it to basically to skip a bunch of steps in the intelligence kind of ladder that they're working on. And they won't go like from medium intelligent AI to very intelligent to super intelligent. I think they'll be able to skip straight up to hyper intelligent, an IQ over 9,000, to make a joke on my username.
What is the username? I didn't see it.
Synchrotron 9000.
Nice. And do you think that they're close to this? It's happening now, or this is in the future?
They do have a quantum random number generator that they just developed, I think, in the last year. I don't really know. I don't know about the computers themselves, but they've got the foundations to do this now.
It's just next to the doomsday clock.
Great. That's why they keep moving
just
the
counting
hand
down
forward.
all the numbers.
Great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Do you have anything else you want to add?
No, that was all I had today. I didn't have I wanted to add more about the last call in, but I haven't had time to make notes yet.
All right. Well, you know where to find us.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Quantum physics above my head.
Yep. Let's see. I saw some things here. MF Damien said I'd vote Prince over MJ.
No.
Dead Fish Cheese Spread said, I'm so old I remember when MJ was black. Laughing Cedar says, Shane getting trolled more lately. Yeah, we're having fun.
Yeah.
Why not? I saw another one here. Holographic Sweater, MJ was a better songmaker. Prince was a better musician. Yeah, that's how I feel. I mean, MJ just songs that are timeless. Prince was incredible. There is a great video. I hope you have seen it. If you have not, look it up later. I think it's a James Brown concert, and he makes Prince and MJ come on stage. It's incredible.
I think I've seen that.
And it's where Prince rides his securities. He's on his security guard's back, which is why Kanye references that on Yeezus. It's incredible. I wish we'd just pull up and listen to that now for the last 20 minutes of the show, but then they'll nuke this episode.
Yeah.
But I highly recommend it. Who do we got next?
Pets, dogs.
Oh yeah, we know pets, dogs. Thanks, valuing you. I see that. Nice compliment. Appreciate that. Who do we got? Pets, dogs. What's up?
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, man. Welcome back.
Yeah, that brings back memories. I remember when the video came out where he who was the basketball player, and he kicked it off his heel and it went in the hoop and all that stuff.
Oh, I don't remember.
The Michael Jackson video.
Who that would have been? The chat probably knows. Wouldn't have been Jordan. Maybe before that.
Anyway, when I was a kid, my dad was Rose Garden parking lot manager, so I got to go in the Rose Garden, and I met all the '90s basketball players, pretty much anybody you can think of: Dennis Rodman, Michael Jordan, hockey, all that stuff. I got to just kind of roam around and
What year was
be
this?
wherever I wanted to be. So
What year?
This would have been like 1990 through 97.
Dang, dude, that's the heyday. That's my favorite era of basketball. I was a huge nerd for the Bulls. Couldn't help it. Dennis Rodman was the most reckless and amazing player. Loved it.
Someone said it was a Pepsi commercial in New York.
Okay, interesting. But that's cool. Who was the nicest one? Anyone stand out?
Gary Payton was nice to me.
Yeah.
Clyde Drexler was my favorite. I'm from Portland, so I love the Blazers.
Yep.
But I was obsessed with Dennis Rodman. I thought he was just, the way he played the game, he was my favorite player.
Just diving into the crowd to catch a ball. Incredible. Totally didn't need to do it, but he's like, I'm going to torpedo myself into this crowd. Yeah, I enjoyed watching him play. And now he's
Pippen was really nice.
Korea. Who was it?
Scottie Pippen was really nice to me.
Yep.
There were so many people like Magic Johnson and all those people. A lot of them were really nice I was a kid, so
that's awesome. We'll like to hear that.
But I had full range. I could go in the money room. I could go in the locker room up to a certain point. I couldn't be where the lockers were, but I could be in the hallway. At that time, this is pre 9/11. The money was all in cash, just sitting there in a room stacked as high as you could see, and they just let me play in it. Basically, it was.
Sheesh. Incredible.
It was a great time.
It was a good memory.
But hey, so I called. I'm sorry, I keep cutting you off. I'm getting a little bit of a lag, so go ahead.
All good, dude. Take it away.
So I wanted to ask you about angels.
Okay.
And intervention and prayer.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to tell you first. Let me ask you: do you believe in actual angels intervening in our lives?
I do. Yeah, I think there's different types of angels. I think angels are very real.
Do you believe that prayer can be done wrong? Like just talking to God without any structure, that you're, praying over certain things and, the wrong people are listening and then,
I think,
those things get attacked, basically.
I think you are susceptible to praying to the wrong thing, praying for the wrong thing. In my opinion, and I'm just like a baby Christian, to quote Kanye again, but I think God knows your heart, and I don't think there's one certain way to do it. My Catholic friends might disagree, but I think God knows your heart, and if your heart in your prayer is pure, then that is okay. But people do pray for things that maybe they shouldn't pray for, like things about the material world. But even that, that's tough. I'm trying to put it kind of think about what I read earlier with James 5 is don't be shackled to the material world. And sometimes people pray for that as if that's their only salvation, and it'll come through wealth or status, which is wrong. But people can certainly be deceived and have bad thoughts that are, the best way to describe it is like whispering in their ears, like demons, because I believe in angels and I believe in demons. And the best way to describe that would be the book by C.S. Lewis, The Screw Tape Letters, which is a great book. And it's just letters between two demons, Screwtape and Wormwood, and they have their clients. And all they're meant to do is to whisper basically sins into their ears, make them have certain cravings, make them do certain things. And it starts little, small things, and they escalate. And they're doing it in a way where these clients, as they put it, are unaware that they think they're good people and they're having these intrusive thoughts and they're dealing with it. But I think that's a very real thing, and people don't pay attention to it at all. So you have to be very, very aware of that. Does that answer your question?
Kind of. I'm scared. You've recommended that book a few times. I'm scared to read it. But
it's good.
Let me tell you why I'm asking, and maybe it'll make more sense.
Okay.
To do this, I have to, say some personal things, and it's the only way I can frame these questions.
That's okay.
Because it's the way I think about it. It's why I think about it. And also I want to add, it almost feels narcissistic to frame these things as happening to me, because they involve deaths of other people, and those didn't happen to me. They happened to them, and those people are part of my life. So it's it just feels a little, but you'll see why maybe I struggle with the connection. And so it was 2020, late 2022. I was kind of had a moment where I realized like I was mad about something, and I was like, man, my life if you had told me when I was 15, I would have what I have and be sitting in the house I'm sitting in with the job I have and, you know, people around me, I wouldn't have believed you. Mm-hmm. And I was feeling sorry for myself, and I was like, what am I doing? You know, like, and so it began like a journey where I started praying again. You know, when you have it good, you don't really pray a lot. I mean, you should pray when most people pray. I mean, the average person, they kind of, I don't know, it becomes less important when your life is more destitute. You pray a lot, you know. But that's the space I was in. So I started praying. And basically what I was doing is every day when I left the house, I would tell my girlfriend and my dad and my son, who all live with me, that I love them. Like, you know, I left at 4:45 in the morning. I'd actually wake them up and be like, I love you. I'm headed off to work. And then I would pray as I was leaving the gate. I would pray, just talking to God, and, you know, Jesus, the way I understand him, and saying like, you know, thank you for, and I would list them in order, but it was like, you know, it was my mother, my father, my girlfriend, my son, my best friend. He was pretty much my only good friend, and my dogs. And, you know, thank you for my job and everything I have, and, you know, in my life right now.
Yep.
And over the next course of the year, like it started like February, my dog got hit and killed in front of me. My mom checked in the hospital and died in June. I got fired in July. My best friend died in October. And then my dad died 2 weeks before Christmas. And there was a few other things in there, but it just felt like everything from that list was being systematically picked off, you know? And on one hand, like I said, those things didn't actually happen to me, but I can't help but, like, I was mad at God for a while, and I don't know where to place that, because I've always believed in God. I think religion's fake, but I believe in God. Every church I've ever been to, I could tell you the stories, but a lot of corruption and just, you know, it's just seems like a business model with bad people in charge. I've never found a good space there. So I talk to God in my own way, but I'm just wondering if you think that, like, you know, trying to do it on your own and not really, I don't read the Bible and not instructed by that. And I've been exposed to it a lot, but just praying to God on your own without any real format other than opening yourself up to, you know, Jesus do you think it could be dangerous?
I think if your heart and your intentions are good and you want to just talk to God and pray, that there's no wrong prayer.
I also think that even if you're mad at God, you should talk to God, because he's the one who's not going to judge you.
I would also advise in reading the Bible. Look, I don't think churches are the end all be all. I don't think you have to go to church to be a good Christian. I like going. I found a good church, and I like the structure of it, and it's good for my kids to see their parents taking it seriously. But I think the Bible is the most important part, and it, for me, as I've realized in the past few years, is a blueprint through human suffering to salvation, and it's all about how we understand and navigate darkness. Like I was just saying last night, one of my favorite books in the Bible, in the Old Testament, is Job, and how these things are a test. We're always being tested, and they seem to happen more when you are a believer, you know. And I'm thankful to have the tests. I'm thankful to be here. Every day is a blessing. I've experienced kind of nonstop darkness for most of my life, and loss, grief, suicides, overdoses, debt, poor, homeless, you know, NICUs. It's all types of crazy stuff. And before I had God, I felt completely lost in all of that. I was just drifting at sea. And now when these things happen, and they still do, despite your faith, because it's going to happen, it's human, and these are tests, I have an anchor to keep me grounded. And I'm thankful that my family agrees with me on these things. But I just think if you talk to God and you have the right intentions, that's a good thing. But again, I would advise you to look at the Bible for advice, for inspiration. The Psalms are amazing. These songs, these poems to God, they're like love letters to God, and those are good places to start. Also, if you are praying, if you're looking for help into prayer, I look to the Psalms. They're amazing.
I know Shane's not a fan of ChatGPT or Grok
It's a
or
demon.
anything like that, but once in a while, you could ask ChatGPT, "Hey, just give me a prayer for today. Hi, I'm feeling frustrated. I need a prayer. I'm feeling
And
down.
it gives you like a verse.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
As long as the
I
verse is
can't.
right.
I wouldn't trust that thing. I think that thing's like a monster. So I wouldn't trust it to feed me spiritual advice. I'm already like I used to listen to this church that online all the time. I won't name it, but it was in he went off not that long ago attacking Candace Owens and Big from Big and Rich and Ian Carroll, and he had an opinion about this stuff, and which I know not to be true, and I just have a hard time now listening to him tell me about things thousands of years ago that I'm taking his interpretation on, when he's getting things that are literally happening right now so wrong, and his interpretation of
that is
so wrong that it's like, okay, now I have to take your opinion. It's like when you're reading a newspaper and you have an article that you don't know anything about, and then you're a mechanic and you read one on mechanics, you realize they're full of crap, and then you read the next article and you're like, oh, I agree with it. Like, they must be right. I feel like that a lot of times.
Yeah, it's like what Tim says about Gell-Mann's amnesia.
That's the term.
Yep.
Right.
And so how do you trust a paper if you read on this page, you're like, oh, I didn't know any of this stuff about whatever Gaza. You turn the page and it's about mechanic down the road, and you're like, I know that person, and that's totally wrong. And that does apply to some pastors, and unfortunately, a lot of them are extremely. They just can't divorce themselves from the Zionist attitude, and it's like, okay, well then, if they're misinterpreting the Bible there, how else are they? And you gotta just listen to everybody.
I'm sorry to add. That was the second half of his sermon was full Israel.
Right.
And I just can't find a church that doesn't eventually have sermons. Even when I was in an all-black neighborhood, they would have these sermons that were just all Israel. So I grew up with this view of them being like this kind of sacred people and stuff. And like, I didn't ever really understood why, or
they're having
how one people could be better than the other. But
they're having a very hard time divorcing the government of Israel from people. And so it's like, we don't have to support Netanyahu. That's not biblical. So it's ridiculous to think that. But yeah, I look up a lot of old pastors, but it depends on your denomination stuff. I like these non-denominational guys. I like R.C. Sproul, listen to him. And I don't think I agree with everything he says. I don't know. I haven't listened to everything. I like MacArthur. Both these guys are dead now. I do have a MacArthur study Bible, and it's fascinating to read through just because it's every single word is like annotated, and he goes through like what this means and da 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 da. But I also have the Bible app, and I like this because I'm a super nerd, and I like looking at different verses. Like I read one earlier, and it was the New International Version, but you can go through all the different types of translations. And I love that because you can see how just little words change, and those little words mean a lot, and there's that we could fight over all these interpretations and translations forever. But that's why I like the Bible app, and then also it'll be like an audiobook. It'll read it for you as well, and you can flip back and forth between the translations and learn a lot that way. But I would just pray however it feels. Like I said at the beginning of the show, I felt like a complete fraud. I literally spent 2 years telling people like, I don't know what to do. I thought there was some way. It didn't feel right. But it was really just me being insecure after being militantly atheist for so long. And I felt like a fraud trying it. And then I just had to stop that. And after a series of events, it became very clear to me that this was real. All this is real. And a light went off. And I was like, I don't need to have a certain structure here. I just need to have it in my heart that I have the right intentions and just have this conversation. And I talk to God all the time. I talk to him when things are going well and things are going bad. I ask for guidance. I ask for strength and confidence. I protect my family, and I'm constantly thanking him for my family. And every day I have here is a complete blessing. And
that's what I was doing, and I was doing it out loud. and I only have 2 of them left within the span of 6 months. So it was like, it just felt like, I don't know. But do you think there's a difference between praying out loud and praying in your head? I've heard people say that, you know, demons can hear your voices but not your thoughts. So it's like,
I don't think so. You know, I haven't really listened to a lot of people talk about that, honestly, but that's just my opinion. I don't think so. I think imagination is a portal to God. So I think it's fine to do it silently, but I also think it's good to do it out loud. And, you know, we pray out loud at dinner. I think that's good, but I also teach the kids to pray silently. You know, it just really depends on the situation, what you're feeling, but always try to just keep them in your head and always have that communication open, especially when things are going bad, but also when things are going good. You know, just it should, that line of communication, you should always be talking to God no matter what. But these things, it's also human nature to have loss and suffering, and it's horrible, but it's also a test, unfortunately, and thankfully, you know, I have God and His Word to fall back on in times, even when it feels like He's not there, because sometimes it does feel like that. You know, that's a natural human flawed thing to feel every now and then. Which is, again, I'll do another book recommendation real quick. That's why I read Flannery O'Connor. She was a Catholic and a great writer, and she wrote a lot about people who claim to be Christ-like, but were complete frauds. And she was rather violent in her stories. And she took care of these people. She had crazy stories. A Good Man is Hard to Find is one of her most popular ones. Highly recommend it. But she has a whole series of stories about this, kind of punishing people. It's very Old Testament like, but she punished these people who were unrepentant sinners and who claimed to be Christian.
How come we don't have any super pastors like those Joel Osteens that sell out like Super Bowl stadiums every day, and those people are allowed to like exist, and you know they're just spreading their
prosperity,
polluted crap. All you know, the scope of their operation is enormous, and we have none of. I don't feel like we have any of those that have ever rose to any prominence. Speaking what I feel is like, you know, true Christianity. Those people, that Joel Osteen dude and that other guy that's like him, they look like actual demons, like Gavin Newsom type.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I don't pay attention to those people. I mean, I know what they're doing. That's never been something for me.
Why are they allowed to? Why does God not stop that? If intervention, why not that? That's such
because we have free will. We have free will. You know, it's part of the game. It's part of the test. And it's not just that. There's churches out there that claim to be good non-denominational, good Baptist, good Lutheran, and they're captured. So it's like, it's not just those which most of us easily point to and be like, that's a problem there. They're stealing, it's corrupt, it's greedy, it's weird, it's sinful. But there's also lots of churches that are smaller and they're heretical. And for all types of reasons, they've let modern ideology slip in to their interpretations of the scripture, and that's also bad. But I believe it's allowed to happen because we have free will, and those people are failing the test.
Oh shoot! I didn't realize I took so much of your time. Thanks, Shane, for answering those questions. As you can tell, I struggle. I'm like, one day I wake up more Brandon, and one day I wake up more on where you're at. And, you know, ultimately I believe in God, and I believe I've told you about ghosts and things I've seen. I know there's a spiritual realm, and I know there's a spiritual warfare. And I struggle with the Bible and churches because I know things have been taken out and edited and they've passed through the hands of, that's like passing things through CNN and everybody else through these kings, and then handing me this thing and asking me to take it for like the actual gospel. Because anytime when I see God touch man in such a significant way, it's like they've all been corrupted in my personal experience. So it's just.
Yep. I mean, it's just unfortunately part of our human nature, part of the fallen world that we have now. But I really would advise you to, just start from the beginning of the Bible. I just reread the first like 5 or 6 books of the Old Testament, and Genesis it's just amazing. And then like go find Jonah. I love the book of Jonah. I love Job. get the.
I don't understand it. When I read it, I don't understand the language structure. It's like if I was, it was this different
Like
language to me, how it's written. I just don't.
Try the Bible app. Try the Bible app and have it read it, and then listen. I mean, if you do care, if you want to try, like reread it, re-listen to it. I've been rereading the book of Jonah. I mean, it must be 100 times now. It's kind of funny, it's hilarious, and it's also really depressing, and it's absurd. It's kind of like a Charlie Kaufman film. It's very weird, but I love that book. It's so interesting. It says so much about human nature. And a lot of these stories don't make a lot of sense at first too, because they seem a bit absurd, but there's so much truth in them. And so I'd say try reading it, rereading it, and I'd like to think, and I'll pray on it, that it'll start to click for you. But I think it's also very normal. It's like my experience after years of mocking this, totally writing it off. I just had, like, one day it just dawned on me, like, it just made sense all of a sudden. And I can't make sense of that. It's just, other than God said that's that. And I was there and I was ready, and it happened. And here I am. I'm still learning, still figuring out how to talk about it, how to make it make sense out loud, but just making it happen as I go.
Yeah, thank you so much for allowing me so much time to get that out. It's really hard thing to frame, and of course, my question changes daily. What app are you using? And then I'll let you guys go, and then thanks a lot, and I'll see you next week.
Of course. Yeah, it's the Holy Bible app, and you get all the different translations there, and it'll read it for you. It'll send you a little verse in the morning. I love it. It's great. I'm not sponsored by the Holy Bible app, but now I'm gonna tell them no. It's your best. I love the app. It's one of the only apps I use. So hope you try it, dude.
All right, cool. Thanks.
Yeah, man. Of course. All right. It is 11:59. That's crazy. That was a fun episode.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for allowing us to have that conversation. I love that conversation, and it's wild. I mean, it's something we've been talking about for a while.
Oh,
and
yeah.
you're on your path.
Yep.
And like I've said, Chris Carr, the great Chris Carr, has been, at this company, one of the earliest people I've talked to about this before I became Christian, all that stuff. And he was like my go-to guy, not only my editor, but like he was the guy I'd go to.
Yeah.
And he asked about this. He's incredibly smart with it, way smarter than me, and I love hearing him talk about it. So I'd also suggest to the caller and anyone else out there, just find people you trust to talk to, and also look up other people online that you think you can trust.
I think it's also good to just keep reminding yourself that we go through cycles.
Yeah, we
go through cycles.
And it's easy to go into the bad cycles and forget and feel distanced.
Yep.
I think those are normal things. That's why Job is in there. That's why Jonah's in there. That's why all this, it's all in there. I mean, I have a friend who told me that his father told him when he gave him a Bible that every answer is in the Bible. And if someone told me that years ago, I'd have been like, But now I firmly do believe this. I really do. It is the most ancient somehow and modern. It's ancient and modern all at once, and all the answers are in there, and you can apply it to today. So we started with the Bible. Yeah. I guess we ended with the Bible. Look at that. We had some aliens in the middle, some quantum computing in the middle. Yeah. We had the Antichrist showed up.
No probing today.
There was no probing.
There was no probing.
I thought I had some probing news actually. Earth's colonoscopy. Okay. No. No, yeah, there was no probe. I was tricked. There was probe news, but it was fake probe news. Oh. Someone said, I forget the scientist had something to say about it, but it turned out to be fake, ridiculous. So, hey guys, thank you so much for sticking around, hanging out with us.
Sorry for anyone we did not get to in Zoom to call back on Monday, please.
Please, again, I'm not going to be here tomorrow. No one's going to be here tomorrow. I got family stuff I'd like to do, and I'm excited to do some family stuff. There's been so many instances of like we can't do that just because, and I don't like missing the show. I love being here and doing the show and having all these conversations, but every now and then I gotta do it. So I hope you guys allow me this one time. There'll be others, I'm sure, but the kids are young, and I was just talking to a friend about how these young years are so precious.
Yes.
And it's hard. It's hard to be gone for 2 hours and not be with them. But yeah, thank you guys for understanding. Thank you guys for showing up. It's amazing. You guys are the best.
Thanks for having me this week.
This
has
it
been
was so
awesome.
nice having you in the room. You're killing it. Thank you so much. We even had some tech issues right before we went live, and all good.
We figured it out.
I mean, most of these people don't know how it was in the beginning of the show.
I know. Everyone from 51 on have no idea.
No, we struggled.
We struggled hard.
We had so many problems in this room.
Now we got it.
I mean, you guys are running the ship. I don't do anything. I'm just a loser.
Yeah, you just show
I
up.
just talk, and I'm so grateful that you and Brandon hold it down. You both do a great job, but my goodness, we had some issues, and it wasn't like any of our fault. We were thrown into the room. We had this technology, and we're like, okay, we're Luddites. It was really like the Zoolander scene. Right?
I was like scratching my head.
Yeah. Is it in the computer?
Is it in the computer?
We like every episode. Sometimes we would go live. Like I think it was with Ian Carroll, like early on, like a year ago.
Oh my God.
We had him come on, and
we're like, our audio's not working.
it died. The live show died, but we recorded it, and then we put it up later. You know, so it was like we were always jumping through hoops and stuff. And thank you guys. Yo, Brandon, see you in the chat. I appreciate you too. I don't know if you're saying that to me or the chat, but I'm going to say I appreciate you. We miss you, and I hope you're having fun over there in the great state of Arizona.
Good times.
Amazing. We will all be back on Monday. Alex, let them know where to find you.
Sure. I am Alex Ayala on Twitter and X. And again, it was good seeing you all.
Thank you guys so much. I love coming here and talking to you guys and getting your phone calls, seeing the chat. Like I said, it's the best chat on YouTube and Rumble. You guys are hilarious. I go home and my wife wakes up as I get into our room because I walk like a Bigfoot, and she asks how the show is, and I have all my notes of the things that were hilarious in the chat. Those are the sweet nothings I say to my wife. But yeah, you guys are the best. And I hope you all have a good weekend. We'll see you on Monday. Have a great night. Bye.